students, welcome back to KapMan Academy, and today we are going to talk about general features of nitrogen fixation. Right, so first of all, you all should know about that nitrogen fixation. It is a very unique prokaryotic process in which your nitrogen, which is in the inorganic form, or you can say the atmospheric nitrogen gas, it is being converted into the organic form, which is your ammonia. Right? So this ammonia then further it is utilized into the synthesis of amino acid, and even the amino acid degradation, it also produces the ammonia. Right? So finally in the nitrogen fixation, what happens? Your inorganic form of nitrogen gas, it is being converted into the organic form. Right? And whole this process is known as nitrogen fixation. Another thing you should know about nitrogen fixation can occur under the oxic conditions, or it can occur under the anoxic conditions. So the microbes which are responsible for the oxic nitrogen fixation are your azotobacter, and cyanobacterium. There are some examples in the cyanobacterium which are responsible for the aerobic nitrogen fixation, and the example is your trichodesmium. So trichodesmium fix the nitrogen aerobically. Example of the anoxic nitrogen fixation are your Clostridium microbe, and Clostridium, it is a free living anaerobes. It is a free living anaerobes, and it fixes the nitrogen anaerobically. So the best example studied for the nitrogen fixation, you also know about it, is the leguminous plants. And leguminous plants, they actually involves the bacterium Rhizobacteria and its relatives which actually are responsible for the nitrogen fixation in the leguminous plants. Right? Other than this, there are some other examples of the nitrogen fixing microbes such as actinomycetes. And the example of actinomycetes is Frankia. So this is also responsible for the nitrogen fixation. Another example is the cyanobacterium. An example of cyanobacterium is your Anabaena. It actually fixes the nitrogen with the association of water fern azolla. So these are some examples of the nitrogen fixing microbes. So as I said, the simple reaction of the nitrogen fixation, in which what happens, your atmospheric nitrogen gas, which is in the inorganic form, is actually converted into the organic form, which is the ammonia, right? And then this ammonia form is actually further immediately incorporated into the organic matter as the amines, or it is used in the synthesis of amino acids, right? So this is how your nitrogen fixation reactions occur. But during the nitrogen fixation, you need number of electrons which are being added into the nitrogen atoms, and this actually requires the lot of energy. Therefore, nitrogen fixation is a very expensive reaction too. It is a expensive reaction, right? And for the nitrogen fixation, another important thing which you need is the nitrogenase enzyme. So nitrogenase enzyme, it is actually present in the microbes, and this one enzyme is responsible for the nitrogen fixation, right? But the nitrogenase enzyme, it is very sensitive for the atmospheric oxygen. So in the presence of oxygen, nitrogenase enzyme, it gets oxidized and it gets degraded. So it is very important that during the nitrogen fixation, this nitrogenase enzyme needs to be protected. So it is protected by some of the special strategies by the microbes. One of the strategy is that by making a specialized cells which are known as heterocyst, right? And these heterocysts, they are actually formed by the cyanobacteria, and these are called heterocystus cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria. So the cyanobacteria here, what it does, it actually separates the atmospheric nitrogen from the oxygenic photosynthesis and makes a confined spaces where only this nitrogen fixation is being actually done, right? So in the absence of the oxygen here, nitrogen fixation can occur without the degradation of your nitrogenase enzyme. Another strategy of protecting the nitrogenase enzyme is that some type of the cyanobacteria, they actually fix the nitrogen at night time. So at that time, your photosynthesis is impossible. That is why the nitrogen fixation can occur easily here. So this is the simple features of the nitrogen fixation, which occurs because of the help of the oxic and anoxic microbes and the enzyme which is known as nitrogenase enzyme. So if you see here in the image, you can now directly relate that what is happening in the nitrogen fixation. So your atmospheric nitrogen is being converted into the ammonia by the help of nitrogen fixing bacteria. So these nitrogen fixing bacteria can be anaerobic and they can be aerobic, right? And then further, this ammonia form is actually used in the incorporation in the organic material. So this is done by the ammonifying bacteria, or you can say certain type of bacteria which actually incorporates the nitrogen into the amino acid synthesis and in the organic material synthesis, right? So this is the simple process of your nitrogen fixation. You need to be very clear about what is happening in the nitrogen fixation. So that's all for the today. Thank you.